are, the pair of shoes with Quick Hits News, and we are coming to you 9:30 East Coast time from the East Coast of the United States. Shu, you've been covering conventions for a long time. How do you describe the first half an hour of what we've seen tonight?
I mean, it's sort of indescribable. I actually feel terribly for the Democrats, and will feel equally as bad for the Republicans, though they get an advantage by seeing how not to do it, I suppose. It's really difficult to have to do this, and it's important to the parties that they do it, and man, the conventions, while they don't serve a real purpose practically, they are a great kickoff for the people that are involved in the party, like any convention. The Plumbers Convention, important to them in Vegas or New Orleans or wherever they do it. But this is a tough thing to do and make it exciting. A lot of what makes these political conventions great and the speeches better are the applause and the reactions, and there's none of it.
Yeah, I mentioned Eva Longoria. This is what we've been seeing. And in fact, I'm showing it on my screen now. This is what we've been seeing basically all night long. I'm streaming this off of YouTube. Eva Longoria started the show, or the broadcast, however you want to put it, like an anchor walking out. She walked out on that set. She talked very sort of quietly and somberly. Then they went to a video that had a group of kids singing the national anthem, and then a larger group of people. And then they went to another video where we had somebody who was a preacher who gave the invocation, and there's a video of Joe Biden. It's strange, Hugh, because, yeah, I think to your point, it's tough. I mean, because what's their alternative? I suppose their alternative is not to do anything, but it feels like this weird kind of Oprah-like sort of news anchor kind of format with Eva Longoria. She pitches, there were some live interviews with some small business owners about how they're suffering. It just lacks, though, the oomph when you've got 15,000 people in front of you in a hall.
Right, and that's why I say I feel badly for them to have to do this. If we were at the convention and it was a normal convention, you and I have covered a number of them. If we were at the convention and I turned to you and I was like, imagine if no one was here, how weird that would be, right? That's what we've got here, and so for that, I do feel badly. I'm not going to judge it just yet because I think a lot of what I want to hear are the speakers. One thing that I will judge early is that there are more Republicans that are slated to speak at this convention than prominent Latinos, and certainly there's no Julian Castro, which is a surprising thing to me, and I was wondering if you thought that was also.
You know what? I guess I'm not so sure. I mean, it feels like, look, there are speeches coming tonight from Bernie Sanders and Michelle Obama in the 10 o'clock hour, and that's important. And those will be interesting speeches, whether they have a large crowd in front of them or not. But I don't know. I mean, the people that we've heard from so far, they really, other than Eva Longoria, they really are sort of no names in the world of politics. Yeah. And for people who are, I think, well, look, when I saw the metrics, something like 45,000 people were watching the Democratic Convention YouTube stream. Now, there's probably, tens of thousands that are watching the networks and Yahoo and everybody else. But it feels like, other than Eva Longoria, who's serving as sort of the master of ceremonies, it just feels like there's no oomph there.
At the opening of the Oscars, they always give they give a couple of big awards. I don't know if it's Best Actor or Best Supporting Actress or whatever it is, so that they'll suck you in, but then you'll have to listen to the sound and the makeup and the set decoration, right? And that's fine. But here, if I were doing it, and it's too late now, and hopefully they'll never have to do a convention like this again. They should have had Bill Clinton at the beginning. They should have had a big name that sucks everybody in, because right now they don't have it. And I can't imagine who's been watching this part of it, at this point. And again, you are going to hear from Republicans tonight: John Kasich, Christy Todd Whitman, former Representative Susan Molinari, a lot of formers, but no sitting Republicans are up there. I understand why Kasich is speaking at this convention. I don't, for the life of me, understand why Julian Castro is not.
Well, Julian Castro and also Andrew Yang, right? I mean, the Yang gang inspired a whole bunch of people who were sort of Democratic libertarians, and he qualified for every Democratic debate. John Kasich qualified for maybe only the first two back in 2016 on the
right.
Republican side.
But here's the thing. I understand why you have Kasich. Look, Kasich is somebody from Ohio. It's not going to change the election, but Ohio, if it's decided by a percentage point, anybody who likes John Kasich, who doesn't like Donald Trump, it matters. And so 1% either way. It's why I thought Karen Bass, as much as I like her, may not have been the best pick for vice president, and she wasn't the pick for vice president because of what she had done with Cuba in a state as close as Florida. In the big picture, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much as it used to. But a little percentage point here or there, they're playing really fine-tuned chess. So I get it.
So, given Michelle Obama and Bernie Sanders speaking tonight, take your sort of chess analogy, what sort of roles are they playing? Are they sort of the rooks? Are they the initial pawns because they're on the first night
right.
of the 4-night convention, which is sort of a made-for-TV sort of extravaganza, but without the laugh tracks and without the crowd noises?
Yeah, and it's like you sacrifice that first pawn. And we have a question from Pablo Haps. Do you think Yang and Castro not speaking, just to finish that conversation, hurts Biden's chances? No. I don't think anything that happens over the next 4 days has anything to do with the results of the presidential election. I just don't. I think maybe Kamala Harris, if she gives a great speech, people will say she gave a great speech. If Bernie Sanders' endorsement is powerful tonight, that would be important. We all know that he gave a courteous but lukewarm endorsement in 2016, and I expect he's going to give more of one tonight. And that's my prediction of tomorrow's headline, is whatever Bernie Sanders does tonight. And now going back to what you were asking, I mean, look, I think when we watch these headliners, we know what we're going to get out of most of them, right? We know what we're going to get out of Michelle Obama. I think Andrew Cuomo's going to try and knock the house down, but there's no house to knock down. So that's the problem here, is what does make a good speech? And it's something that we all in the world are learning right now, because this is a convention like we've never seen.
By the way, for anybody who wants to, for anybody who's watching us live on our YouTube channel or through Twitter or Haps, you can interact and ask Michael Schur and myself questions by going to the Haps app and essentially being part of the community. One of the questions we've gotten is from one of our own who's wondering, well, how come I'm seeing Schuster in one box and Michael Schur in the other box the entire time? And I may be doing this wrong, Shu, but when I try to make you the big box, for some reason, it doesn't work. So I may be pushing the wrong button. So my apologies. No disrespect for Michael Schur. When he's talking, he should be in the big box and I should be in the small box. But now I'm being told that you're in the big box now. So I don't know what I'm doing. Clearly, Shu, I am not a director.
No, you're not.
But back to the issues at hand. I got to ask you. So Andy Rosen was reporting earlier. I mean, Donald Trump was there today. His family is there. There's a bus, Women for Trump, that are in Wisconsin. And a number of Democrats have said, okay, Joe Biden has got to come here. They're begging Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, make sure you come to Wisconsin. If you can't do it this week, at least in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, you're in danger of what Hillary Clinton had with Wisconsin in 2016. Do you buy that?
I don't. First of all, I think they could pull a surprise and Biden could go to Milwaukee. Second of all, you went 0 for 2 on Kamala Harris's name there, which was impressive. You gave a Kamala and a Kamala, which neither of which are right. So I'm impressed, because it's hard to do it wrong twice. And I love that.
Just wait. We've only been on 8 minutes.
No, but 2 different versions. It was awesome. No, so Shu, I think that you can say that, oh, he has to come here. He has to come here. The Republicans, and you and I think, have said this on Quick Hits News a number of times, that they do have the advantage going second. They have the advantage of doing something that's so totally different. And then for the next several days, talking about how boring this was. You can imagine what the president's suites will be like tomorrow. The Democrats could still surprise. Joe Biden could end up on a plane to Milwaukee and go out in Milwaukee, but there's no fanfare when he does. I don't know if that matters, but I get it. I get why it's important.
Does it then become perhaps, given that it's going to be hard, I think it's going to be hard for either convention to really move the needle in terms of the numbers. Does this become a week then, both for the Democrats and then a week from now for the Republicans, of essentially do no harm, make no major gaffes or mistakes, have as many canned speeches, don't, have the candidate and the vice presidential candidate live unless you're absolutely sure that they're going to nail their speech? I mean, because there's so many things that could go wrong that become the topic of conversation for everybody, as opposed to whatever it is that the candidates are saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for several for several people, what matters here is the small print stuff, like what Bernie Sanders does tonight, and how that is a blueprint for how he is going to be supportive of the Biden-Harris ticket going forward. I don't think that many of the what we learn out of these campaigns in terms of a bump, I don't think it's going to help or hurt. And next week, the president is good at these sorts of things, and that's kind of what got him to the White House. That said, when the TVs turn off in the morning, we're going to not be talking, I don't think, about this convention very much as we're going to be talking about the post office, Congress coming back, coincidentally or not, at the time the Republicans are going to be convening. I do think that there's something to be said for seeing these as what they are. They're more for the party than for the country, and never more so than right now.
Now, Shu, I'm showing a picture right now of Jim Clyburn, and they just had a little bug on the screen, a graphic that said live from South Carolina. So there clearly are some live elements to this convention. Does that suggest then that everything at the top of the show, which didn't have a live bug, is tape?
That's interesting. I imagine some of it is taped, although there seemed to be, it had the feel of live. Because, some of the people that did speak, not Gwen Moore from Milwaukee, the representative from Milwaukee, but I did hear, maybe it was Muriel Bowser, the mayor of Washington, D.C. speaking. People were, going up on their words and making mistakes. And maybe that is taped because Joe Biden is accepting the nomination this week, and nobody's better at that than Joe Biden. But I do think that this is more about just kind of showing what they can as being live, but I don't think anyone's going to be bothered by the taped stuff. And maybe that's right. The inference is that a lot of that was taped at the top.
A couple of questions. Chris in Long Island is asking if there's been anything so far in the first 40 minutes that the Republicans might pounce on. I've got an answer for that, but Shu, you go first.
Well, I don't want to take your answer, Shu. Just how, and I say this again with the empathy of how tough a job this is to do. How numbingly dull it was at the start, and I think that's what the Republicans are going to try and pounce on. But again, I don't know that resonates with anyone. The criticism of how dull this is.
Here's my answer. There were a couple of times where African-American speakers referred to their sister, Kamala Harris. And it is a historic choice, the first African-American woman on the ticket. And I get the energy and enthusiasm, but I also wonder if there's something that some people might find a little bit off-putting about the sort of familiarity of my sister, Kamala Harris, is, I don't know. It would almost be like, if you said, I think it would just be just as strange if you said, my brother Joe Biden. I mean, there's something about that seems a little bit too informal to me that might raise up the kind of issues that Donald Trump is already trying to raise up himself, and that is stoke some racial divisions in this country. Am I reading too much?
Maybe. I mean, these are the things where people let their hair down and say those sorts of things, these conventions, because they're excited and it's about the nominee and the dignity of the office and the dignity of the nomination and all of that. But this is also a place where people let loose. I mean, it's usually pandemonium on the floor, and those kind of lines will get African-American delegates to be very, very excited when they hear that. And that's what they're playing to. And that's why I understand how maybe it reads awkward in a box on TV. But it's the kind of thing that these conventions are given to having done for a long time, or have been given to having to doing.
Here's Eva Longoria. Again, they just did have the bug on her that said live. So maybe they just were late at the top of the show and putting that on the screen.
Yeah. Or maybe that's a response to that could be a response to some of the criticism of it not feeling very alive,
Essentially. So, I mean, they're working out some of the technical.
Yeah. Again, a thankless job, and she was fine, right? But there's a lot of why Eva Longoria there, and you were saying, Texan, Latina, but that's not enough. I think that there should be somebody who's more identifiable with the party.